Hello, people of the interwebs. My name is Garrett here at the Protectors in Southern California. In today's video, we're going to be going over the functionality of commonly used weapons for self-defense and home defense. First off, we're going to start with a Glock26 Glock subcompact 9mm gun. So, basic parts of this, if you look on the right side of the gun, you have your magazine release right here. This is what you use to take your magazine out of the gun. The slide lock is this little lever right here, which if I pull it back and push up with my finger, you can see it locks the slide back. Now you're supposed to use your thumb to do that. But as you can see here, if I push it down with my thumb, it locks the slide forward. And that's how you put a round into the chamber. Same thing. And as well, semi-automatic handguns. If I take this empty magazine and insert it into my gun, if I pull it back, see it just locks open. So the magazines have a follower in here. It's this orange tab you see. And that is what causes the bolt to, or the slide to stay back on handguns. Like I said, if I do this, we go forward. If I pull it back, it locks back automatically. And no amount of racking it will send it forward on an empty mag. So for today's video, to demonstrate this, I'm going to use fake ammunition. This is a 9mm dummy round. It is not real. It's a training aid. I have brought out real ammunition. So this is a real 9mm round right here. And a round is the whole thing. That's the term for the entire piece of ammunition. Right here, the tip, the actual projectile, is called the bullet. This is what gets sent down the barrel. Right here, the brass, or the shell casing, is what gets ejected from the gun when it cycles. This is a full metal jacket round. This is what you use for target practice. Also what the military uses in their guns as well. The other one I brought out here that is real is what's called a hollow point. The terminology is exactly the same, but as you can see, it doesn't have a tip on it. What this does is this is meant to stop inside of your target so it doesn't go flying through it and penetrate farther than you want. So you can see difference in the two tips here. This is what law enforcement uses. However, the militaries of the world are forbidden from using these in combat because the wounds are harder to treat. But in military context, they don't really care about overpenetration, so it's not a big deal, whereas law enforcement the world over uses hollow point ammunition to reduce the amount of collateral damage that is inflicted. For the purpose of this video, we're not going to go too much more into ammunition types, but I wanted to show these. And again, this is a training round. This isn't going to fire. It's not going to do anything. It's inert. So to put these in, what you're going to do is take your magazine, take your round, again, the fake one. You're going to depress the follower and slide it in. I have brought out two more here. So same thing. Take one round, push with the thumb down on the top of the case, slide the next one in. And you do that until you hit however many you can hold. For those of you who are newer shooters, I highly recommend getting a speed loader. We're going to take our fake ammunition and insert it into our real gun. Now, as you can see, I have chambered a round. You notice I pulled it back and let it run forward violently. Be a word I guess I'd use. Do not baby it, right? I'll show you what that looks like in a second. But you need to pull it back and let go. Do not ride the slide forward. Actually, I'll show you that right now. So you see, right? You can use your optic, you can grab the slide, But you notice I'm letting it go. I'm not pulling it back and doing this. If you do that on a semi-automatic handgun or any type of gun where you have to do that to chamber around, the gun will malfunction on you. You're asking for trouble. That needs to just pull back, let it go. As you can see, by press checking this, we can see that there is a fake round in this gun. Doing that is fine. It won't mess up your gun cycling. But that is what we call a press check, because I'm checking to make sure it's loaded or unloaded. As you notice, I have this pointed in a safe direction. I'm going to gently press my trigger, click, right? Now, if it was a live piece of ammunition in there, it would have gone off. But since I'm doing this for demonstration and I like being able to hear, I'm not doing that. Because if a gun goes off this close to my head without ear protection on, I will be deaf. No bueno. So after that happens, you see the trigger has stayed down. What's going to happen here is the gun would cycle, eject the spent round, put a new one in. And this happens almost instantly. As you see, the trigger's reset. Now, Glock has this really cool thing. Is you see this little piece right here. Some other guns have this too, but it's called a trigger safety. So if you notice, if that's not being depressed, I can't pull the trigger on the gun. I have to push that in, and then it will let the trigger go down. Just a safety feature. Older guns like 1911s, Springfield XD, which is newer, that has it. They have a grip safety right here. Just another way that they do it. It's personal preference for which one you want. A lot of people don't like the grip safeties. They prefer the trigger safeties. Also, if you notice on this gun, it does not have a safety, a manual one. Some people like them, some people don't. I fall into the I don't want that on my carry gun because it's another point of failure. Back to this. So as you see, the round goes flying. So here, press the trigger in, and that's about how fast it's going to go. And it's just going to go flying out and put the next round in. So we're going to go again. And as you see, now the magazine is empty and it holds open, which tells me that I need to put more bullets in my gun, or I just have a really expensive club. Not ideal. That covers the functionality of the Glock. So at this point, I'm going to show you how to disassemble this. I'm going to go over some of the internal parts. YouTube might not like this. So if you're watching on YouTube and I've blurred out the gun in my hands, that would be why. The video will be up on Rumble and I will not have to do that there. So if it's blurry and you want to actually see how it functions, just head on over to my Rumble channel. It's the same handle at the Protectors USA if you want to see it there. So one of the things you have to do to disassemble a Glock is press the trigger. Some people don't like that because it violates one of the basic safety rules, but that's aside. So here I'm going to depress the trigger, turn the gun over. You got to use what's called the claw. I'm going to pull it back just a little bit like this. Pull these two little nubs down here at the same time. And as you see, it just slides right off. Now we have what's called our frame. The frame is what houses the trigger mechanism, the slide lock, as you can see here, popping up, and all that fun stuff. So this right here is a little laser flashlight attachment I added on aftermarket. It does not come with that. Personal preference if you want that or not. So the frame right here is what is legally considered the firearm. This is what you have to go through a background check to buy. The trigger, you don't. The internal components, you don't. You can change those out at your own leisure. But the actual frame in and of itself is what is considered a firearm under federal law. This is called the slide. This houses our recoil spring right here, the barrel right here, and the striker and all some other stuff. Now the striker is the part of the gun that smacks the firing pin, which is what hits the back of the round. On my dummy ammunition, if you look at the back, actually I'll just show them this. So you see this little circle inside right there. There's that little gold circle inside the back of this. This is a center fired cartridge. So how this works is the firing pin smacks in right there, and that's what ignites the gunpowder and sends the projectile flying. On striker fired guns, there's no external hammer, which is what you would see on a revolver and 1911s as well. It's all inside the gun. Here's the recoil spring. I'll take that apart. So as you saw, this comes in and is what causes the gun to cycle. Here's our barrel. And again, the slide, the barrel, the recoil spring, all that stuff, you can have this shipped to your front door. You don't need a background check to buy it. The actual frame of the gun is what you need to go through a background check to buy. I know, gun laws are weird. As well on the slide, we have the front sight post and the rear sight post. These are just basic iron sights. Iron sights on pistols usually come zeroed at 25 yards. And the zero, for those who don't know, is the gun's point of impact versus your point of aim. So it's the point where that would be the same. I'll have another video going over zeroing coming up in the future. For now, that's just the basic understanding of what it is. So I did talk earlier about the magazine and the follower right here. You can see I'm pushing it down. There's a spring inside this, and that's what causes it to push the round up. So you can see, I insert this into here. You can kind of see how it sits nice and evenly. And right here, the magazine release, we'll just have it come right out. Push that, falls right out of the gun, which is kind of cool. Like I said earlier, this is the legal firearm. This is the part that has the serial number on it. Serial number, you see this little silver part in here. Serial number would be right under this thing. So if I want to see it, I have to take the light off of the gun. Now, reassembly of this is really easy. This part up, I'm gonna put that in there. This part facing forward, right into here. Let's get that in. And now you see these two little grooves in the front right here, and these ones on the back. We're going to match them up with the grooves here, and pull it back, lock the slide back, and now I have a reassembled gun. That covers the Glock. If you guys have any more questions about this, or frankly anything else we cover in this video, feel free to leave a comment down below. I will read them and I will answer all of them. Now, to wrap up our discussion on semi-automatic handguns, I'm going to go over this Sig P320, which now California residents will be able to get for normal prices pretty soon. The reason I'm using this particular gun is while it's functionally the exact same as the other one, the Glock, the difference is in what part of this gun is considered the firearm. Now, the three that I know of that are this way is this gun, the Sig P320, the Sig P365, and the brand new Springfield Echelon. So for this gun, you see this little lever right here. We're going to turn this guy to here and then run the mag release straight forward, and here we go. Here's our frame, or as it's known in this one of three specific cases, the grip module. And here is the slide. Now this one you'll notice has a red dot on it. This one did come optics ready. Not all guns do. Most of the ones on the California handgun roster do not come optics ready, but you can have the slides milled or buy an aftermarket slide to make it optics ready. Now this one will have the same internal parts. We have our recoil spring, our barrel, which as you can see, this is a longer barrel, and the slide assembly as well. Same basic parts. You'll notice this one also has front and back sight post as well, which is still usable with your red dot. And this even has the green mark for the night sight. Now in our grip module, normally this is the frame, but in this case it's not. We're going to disassemble this guy. We're going to pull this little tab here, pull our takedown lever out. Now this is where it's fun. So normally you can pull these out with just your fingers, as I've seen, but they also have a special tool that you can use, or you can just use your slide, and we're going to slide this on over right here and pull up. Boom. So here's our grip module for, as I said, as I listed the 3 guns before, the 320, the 365, and the Echelon. This is not what is considered the firearm in the gun. For these 3 specific guns, this is the firearm, the fire control unit. This is the part of the gun that is legally considered the firearm. Right in here. This is what has the serial number. As you can see, this does not have one. This is what is the gun. So it's nice because I can buy this, and yes, you can change your trigger out and your components of this. You can change those out. Those aren't what's considered the firearm as well. But this is not. And it's cool because these are actually, you can get the cheaper ones for like 50 bucks up to 80 bucks. I mean, they have way more expensive ones, but you can get cheaper ones that are nice as well. I don't know how much this one is because we bought it with the gun already assembled. Again, it's a cool feature because without having to buy a new gun, I can just buy the components and put this in a smaller frame to make it this sized. Kind of a cool feature. I thought I'd share that with you guys because I think it's a really cool option, and I think more companies are going to start taking advantage of it. Now to put this back together, we're just going to slide that back in. And push the trigger. Yep, you go back to front, push the trigger, and just push it down like that. You'll notice there's a little flat piece here on this, and that's what you gotta line up with that little bit you see sticking out. So we're gonna do that, and we're kind of just gonna wiggle it in. You don't want to force things, just kind of wiggle it in, get it lined up. Of course, now when I'm doing this on camera, it doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. So, I'm on you. Get in there. Beautiful. That's in there. Perfect. And that's in there. Set it back to the open position. We're going to take our slide, put our barrel back in, recoil spring. Orange is in the back. Perfect. Now to reassemble this, it's the same way as the other one. You're going to line up these back holes so with the little bits that are sticking up. And we are going to slide this back, lock our slide open, flick this thing back to the normal position. Again, it's the same thing. You have the magazine. I don't have to do anything and it will come right up. Doesn't want to let you push it down easily. Perfect. And that will conclude our tale of the semi-automatic handguns. But I do have one more handgun to show off, because semi-automatics are not the only type of handguns that are used for self-defense. As you can see, we have revolvers. Now this one's very old. As you can see, it is empty. But revolvers are great for people who have weak grips or arthritis or just want a cool cowboy gun. So revolvers are great as well. There's a lot less parts that can mechanically go wrong with them. They're a lot easier to maintain. And they're just really a cool piece of history because law enforcement used them until the 80s. But not much difference in terms of general functionality. So you have this bit right here. This is what allows you to pull the cylinder forward. To eject the rounds, you hold like this and push this. And so you can see that'll come up to allow you to eject the rounds. And you have your hammer. You can pull your hammer back and that will cock the trigger. So there's different types of actions, as this is a hammer fired. So that means when you do this, see it goes into single action. And then I'm going to lightly press the trigger and the hammer is going to drop, which is what would strike the round. Now this being a double action, single action, I can fire it in both, or as I pull the trigger with the hammer decocked, see it'll cock and go off. So there's some where you can do just double action, meaning you can't fire them with the hammer decocked. There's some that do single action only. So there's a variety of them. There's even hammer-fired semi-automatics like the 1911s of the world. But that'll be another topic for another time. This is just a general overview of how these work. That concludes today's video. This was going to cover rifles and shotguns as well, but due to the length of the video, I've decided to just split this into 2 parts and cover that in part 2, which will air next Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for tuning in. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel so you can see more content from us, and share this with your friends. If you guys have any more questions, please feel free to comment down below, or if you have video suggestions as well, leave them down there. Check out our website at theprotectorsusa.com for our class schedule and other information we have up there. I thank you guys for tuning in. Have a wonderful day.